Hi, okay, we're into part 2 of this little tutorial of how to draw and paint watercolours. The last time we spoke we were talking about perspective and we were talking about single point perspective. Today we're going to do 2-point perspective and go into a little bit more detail. Join me now. Okay, let's begin with part 2. But before we do that, let's just go back to part 1, and I showed you the drawing that we did last time and I want to go through it with you quickly. Here we have a 1-point perspective, vanishing point there, with 2 little cottages. Now we're going to talk about a 2-point perspective drawing. And what I want you to imagine is that we walk from the point that we are at now and we move to our left. In other words, we go that way and we start looking at the 2 little houses from that direction. That changes the whole perspective completely. That vanishing point now runs to the end of the page here, and then there's another one on the side here. In other words, you turn it around. So I've done a little bit of homework and I've done it already. So we moved from where we were standing here initially to now we are standing here. There's our horizon line which goes behind the building, and there's an infinity point, and there's an infinity point. So now the buildings are turned that way. This building you see the side of, this building you see more of the side of, and the lines that run from the front of the buildings here and here run that way to that infinity point, and to this important point these lines run to this infinity point here. You get the idea. So we went from that, which is straight on, limited depth perception because of the single point, to 2-point perspective, where we've now got these 2 points on the horizon line, and these lines which I've extended on the drawing show you that the front elevations of both run to that point and the side elevations run to that point there. And everything I mentioned here now applies to this drawing here as well. Okay, so now this is construction detail, and I wanted to show you a little bit more about it in a little bit more depth. I've done a little bit of homework, and I've taken a photograph out of a country magazine where they've got a nice barn in an environment, a nice environment, landscape, foreground, and mountains in the background with trees. But it's a very simple barn-like building, and that's why I chose it. So if I wanted to put a barn-like building in a landscape painting, how would I construct that sort of building? So what I've done is I've taken a photocopy of this photograph, and I'll help you construct it. There are 2 or 3 giveaways in this photograph. The one is the horizon line, which is what I said to you before we start with the horizon line. Obviously the horizon line is the point at which the photograph was taken, or the level at which the photograph was taken by the photographer. Now this is, in this case, it's not that above the door there, because the foreground would be a lawn maybe, and it's fallen away, or maybe they've got on their knees and they're looking up at the building. So the point at which the height above the ground that the photograph was actually taken was about here, and I'll tell you how we got that. The way I do it is I take a ruler. I don't do it, but in principle this is what I would do. I would take a ruler and I take the giveaway lines first. So that line there is a straight line, and that would run from that point to infinity. And that line there, which is parallel to that, goes from that point there to infinity. Right? Move this a little bit. Now where's that infinity line? Now, if you followed those through and you drew a line from there to there, you'd find they would, in this case, cross there, and that line there to there, those 2 lines cross. So that line and that line cross there. Now that point there is the infinity point on the right hand side. We'll get to the left hand side in a minute. So also, which is the corner of the building which is closest to you? In other words, in this case, this would be here. So that's the edge of the building there. It runs there like that, and those parallel lines of the roof run to there and run to there, like that. There, and your infinity point is somewhere there. Right? Now, in order to find out how we got to the point at which the photographer took the photograph, we have to find out where the horizon line is. So horizontal is always horizontal. So it's a horizontal on the photograph, but it has to come from the infinity point there. So from that infinity point there, horizontal line means it comes through there. There's the horizontal line from there to there. And that horizontal line runs all the way through to the other side. There, like that. Right? There. So the other infinity point is here somewhere. And why I know that is because if I extend this building on this side here, that point there, okay, and that point there are the same height, because that's how the building is constructed. So if you join those 2 points together, you'll go back to the infinity point there. Now you'll find if you go to the top there, that's also to the infinity point, and so on. Now this is a pitched roof building, and that pitch, the center of that pitch will be halfway between the distance of that wall, because that side is equal to that side. What I find always is everything fits into a box when you're drawing. A building like this you can put into a box. So you would take the top of that pitched roof there, run a line through there. Now you've got that vertical line there, which is the same as that there. That's now the box. The same thing applies when it goes through to there, like that. That runs there. You've got the end of the building being somewhere here. That's the vertical line. There's your box. And then from that you can build in everything else that you need to do. But you have to start off with the basic box structure. In order to get that pitch there, you have to divide the box in half. Right? So you divide that box in half there, like that. Now where they cross, where those two boxes cross there, like that, right, and you take that vertically up there, that would be the center of your pitch. You can then draw the pitch of the roof, bring that point there and that point there. Okay, now because you've done the same thing, you'd have to do the same thing here, is to have to work out where that point is and so on. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I think you get the idea. Is that a photograph like this, those are the giveaways, right? They go like that, move a little bit, like that. They go to an infinity point there. You have to work out where that infinity point is, and then you can construct a building like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now and go back to our original drawing. Right, so this is what we got here. The 2 points here, 2 infinity points, the 2 buildings, and I think for now you need to go and practice what I just said. I think you've got to go and find a magazine where you look at the construction, a simple construction of the building like that. Don't go complicated and structured. Try and draw a building like this, but construct it so that the perspective looks correct. Try and do that, and I will we'll talk about the rest next time. But in the next one we're going to start talking about the watercolor painting. We're going to introduce what we've said here onto a watercolor paper and start constructing the background, the buildings in the background and in the foreground, and start making the painting that we want to do with the buildings in it. It'll be a lot looser than what I'll show you here. So go and practice. Thanks. See you next time.